This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello and welcome to HealthLink, a program connecting home, community, and healthcare. My name is Carol Merton, and today I'm delighted to welcome two guests to the program who are going to be talking about community gardens, Paul Wagenaar and Simona Frieberg. Thank you for joining me today, both of you. This is going to be really interesting. I'm wondering if you would mind introducing your role and what you do in your role around community gardens for our viewing audience. Who'd like to go first?
We'll let Simona go first.
Thank you, Paul. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Simona Frieberg, and I am part of the Sustainability Project, where Sustainability Project is a non-profit organization, and I joined them probably 3-4 years ago. And I was attracted to that organization because they are mainly focusing on sustainability, creating sustainable culture in Grey County and beyond. And one of the reasons why I joined them was I have created kind of a job for myself, which was very inspiring for me. I have got this idea to help food insecurity in Grey Bruce counties, and I was able to start a project, Community Gardens Network, which helps to support all the community gardens in the region and be kind of the backbone for these gardens to help them with funding, with labor, with seeds, with whatever they need as a resources. And I am so excited to do it. It's my passion, and nothing like working with your passion.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, and my name is Paul Wagenaar. I'm the Food Security Coordinator for the United Way of Grey Bruce. My job is to, as Food Security Coordinator, I work with the food banks, the meal programs, and the community gardens in Grey Bruce to help people that are suffering from food insecurity. A lot of that job is spent informing and educating people, as well as correcting misconceptions about the food insecurity issue. A big part of the food solutions for food insecurity involve community gardens, and that's how I've been working with Simona. And I'm thrilled to be here today to talk to all of you about this.
Excellent. So United Way has a very significant role to play around food security, at community gardens, as well as many other projects as well. So, and that's important, I think, for us to profile just how important that United Way connection is, for sure. So when you say community gardens, what exactly does that mean? Describe a community garden for me.
I'll take that. I think that, first of all, if I break the word down, community is basically people, and gardens is a place where you grow plants. And so community garden, so garden without people is not community garden, and community without garden is not a garden. So I feel that we need to understand that it's a space where people work together for the same aim to grow anything. It could be food, it could be flowers, it can be weeds, it can be anything that you wish. So it doesn't, community gardens is basically a space where people feel connected. They connected to each other, with their neighbors, but they also connect with the nature. And that's what I love about it.
So,
sorry.
Go ahead,
Could I just add to that?
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's all of those things, and it's so much more. I've watched Simona work with kids. I've watched her work with seniors. I've seen her work with people from all kinds of different, ethnic backgrounds. it's really something that brings a community together. And the work that Simona does is absolutely phenomenal.
Community gardens are community building events, correct? That it's around the gardens that you build. And first of all, thank you for sending me the information, because we will go through it. And I can't guarantee I'll go through in the order and sequence, so bear with me if something comes to mind and I have to ask a question in between. But one of the things you did mention was that people can become involved in community gardens, but we're talking about a variety of ages, cultures, seniors, disabled people. Can you explain a little bit more about how community gardens can accommodate and adapt to the different needs?
Do you want to do that one, Simona?
Sure. I feel that actually community gardens is a space where people can beautifully enjoy the outdoors during the summer months or spring and fall. But what I like the most of it is that I love the interconnections between the interconnections with the different generations. So when I come to gardens, I speak about gardens, and nothing matters, just the gardens and the environment around us and the connections that we have with each other. So gardens are basically for any kind of ages. That's what I love. Family, you can bring whole family and enjoy the space with your family and have a quality time and discover all kinds of stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to be about growing food, even though that's super important, but it can be just as fun as discovering different kinds of bugs, pollinators, how the soil actually works. And I provide also some educational part to it to make it a little more interesting. But I believe even seniors, as an example, I have one lady in community gardens in Meaford, and she mentioned that to me that during the pandemic, she really enjoyed coming to the gardens every morning, have her coffees, chill on her desk or chair, and just observe and just be connected with the garden. So the gardens are actually for anybody, to be honest. I don't have any restrictions ever. I don't think that community gardens have any restrictions. It's outdoor space. It's welcome to anybody with any skills, actually. That's another point that I'd like to make. You can be good in anything, and we will always find things for you to do.
So you mentioned COVID, and hopefully we're moving through COVID, but there were some significant learnings around and lessons around COVID. What was the impact of COVID on community gardens in relation to the benefit for mental health, for the benefit of people who needed to be outdoors and wanted to be outdoors, and the issue around not enough food insecurity? What did you notice during the last 2 years compared to what you've experienced other times?
Well, we'll maybe split that one, but Simona, do you want to go first?
You go, Paul.
All right. So with regards to the pandemic, there was certainly, in the early days, there was a lot of fear and misconception. We didn't know much about the virus and how it spread. So in the first year in 2020, a lot of the community gardens didn't operate. Throughout Grey Bruce, there was only a handful of them that did. And, a lot of the gardens were on public places where the municipality or the school board didn't allow them to be open. But as we learned more, public health was really, really tremendous in setting out some protocols for us to follow. And you're absolutely right, Carol, that, the mental aspect, giving people some place to go and being outside was tremendous. And, in 2021, it was much better. The amount of food that was grown was roughly almost 20 tons. Of that, 2/3 of it was split with the food banks and the meal programs. But we were also able to, give people a place to go. And, it was much better that year, and we're hoping for a lot more things this year with so many of the restrictions falling away.
So I just want to clarify, before we go to you, Simona. So I just want to clarify, community gardens don't just feed the people who plant the gardens and grow the gardens. Community gardens redirect food to those who have no access to food. So they actually help feed others in the community, correct?
That's right. Quite a few of them follow the policy of 1/3 of it goes to the volunteers, 1/3 of it goes to community organizations like food banks and meal programs, and then 1/3 may be sold for by donation to help raise money to cover the costs of seeds and tools and things like that. But it's very, very much a community effort to try to help vulnerable people in their community. And few people in Grey Bruce realize that one in 5 people in all of Grey Bruce suffer from some form of food insecurity. And the numbers are staggering. And when you look at how wealthy our communities are, most people don't realize that.
Exactly. Simona, I'm sorry, I interrupted you when I was going back to Paul. What would you like to add around COVID-19?
No, thank you for coming back. I think that I agree what Paul said, and we work really well together for the last 2 years to find creative way to bring people together and inspire people to actually start community gardens. And despite the fact that there was a lot of restrictions, what I'd like to say is that I've seen increase of interest of people growing their own food. And I have different neighborhoods from Kimberley and in Owen Sound. I have more demand for people to reaching out to ask me, how can we start? How do we do it? And there is a huge interest to create a new gardens, which I'm absolutely thrilled. Last year, just on a side, I'd like to say that I was able to build actually, I think 5 new community gardens, which was very remarkable for me. And it was in Grey County specifically. We built one in Hanover, in Owen Sound. We built one in Durham as well. I think that the demand is definitely increasing, and I feel that people cannot afford the fresh produce from our stores, and they are reaching out that they would like to be part of community. And with the spring coming up, I am hoping for the brighter days and warmer days and getting people together and create new friendships and connections.
So how would people find out where there are community gardens? First off, where would they go to find that out?
So the easiest thing is 211. A lot of people aren't familiar with what that tool is. Everybody knows that if you have a fire or emergency, you call 911. But if you have a question about social programs, government programs, things that are going on in your community, 211 is the best source. It's staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you simply have to either call and ask for, where's my community garden? Or, type in that, and, that'll connect them to that. The other thing is Simona, through the Sustainability Project, has a tremendous website that links all of the different community gardens that she's been working with. And, there's ways to contact through that. And if you're interested in gardening, there's no excuse between those two sources in not being able to find a place to go.
Excellent. So you would encourage people to really seriously consider this on a go-forward basis, especially as we've moved through COVID. So if I wanted to start a community garden, obviously I'd be looking at the website and connecting with Simona. What would your advice be to me then? Once we've made a connection, what are the steps? What do people have to do?
Simona, you'd be best to answer that one.
Thank you. I think that there are many steps to start with in different order, but I think the first thing would be to start a group. I think that you can start as on your own, but if you have a friend, neighbor, family member that you would like to start with you, so create a team. and have a chat about the design, about the site, getting permission, where would you like to start, and think about what is your values, mission. Would you like to start growing food only for yourself, sharing with the food bank, or what kind of mission and values you would like to bring? I feel like we are almost entering to a new beginning. I feel the old stuff is leaving us, and the new stuff with love we are approaching. And I feel that that needs to be really emphasized among all of us, because we've been isolated for too long, and there was a lot of distraction, and a lot of things were not working well for people. But I believe that with the positive outlook is to look at it, what do I want to accomplish with the community gardens? So I would definitely start with the team, with the site, with the design, and then make sure that the site that you will choose is not contaminated, is actually a good site, you get all the permissions you need, and just build the garden beds, and there is really not too much to it. You can build your own soil if you want, that takes time, but with the right design, I believe that this is something that I would love to help you to create it.
Excellent. So now, sorry, go ahead, Paul.
If I could add just to that, the other thing that I think that's really important is, when we talk about misinformation or misunderstanding with things, my advice to anybody that's going to do a community garden as well would be to involve their neighbors. Make sure that they understand the purpose behind it. Invite them, even if they don't want a garden, invite them to come down and see that, because lots of people misunderstand what's going to happen there. And it's not like there's going to be thousands of people descend on a nice quiet neighborhood. It's only going to be a handful of people at a time. It doesn't smell, it's not messy, it doesn't attract wild animals. If there are animals, they were already in the neighborhood to start with. And when they see that and they're part of that, again, most of those fears disappear. And I think that's one of the things that Simona is really good at as well.
And I had the pleasure of chatting to Simona about how to have positive attitudes towards community gardens, for sure, and to move attitudes from not in my backyard to yes in my community, to be able to have that attitude adjustment. So during the restrictions, do you have any stories from the community gardens that you'd like to share about working with residents through those restrictions? Simona, I wasn't sure if this was something you wanted to talk about.
Of course I do. One of my favorite stories is always a kid's story, when the kids come and they share just, they're spontaneous. They have no filters, and they come to the gardens, and their main questions usually are, what is the name of this, and can I eat it? And and one of the fun part is at the Victoria Village in Meaford, where I garden at the Grey County Housing. The kids come and they say, "Oh, can I bring it home to my siblings?" And I say, "Of course." And we don't have bags or anything. They just literally roll their T-shirts up and they fill it up absolutely to maximum. I was growing cucamelons, which is a small. It tastes like a cucumber, but it looks like melon. And it's a snack. It's a snack vegetable that kids can eat right from there. And they go and they just say, "Oh, would you like to come with me? I'd like to share it with my family." So the kids are very, very rewarding in that terms, and they are quick learners. The other story is I had a residence from the same garden, and we were harvesting apples. And one of the residents comes to me and say, they were volunteering. Basically, they are on their own and they're harvesting the apples. And after half an hour, they saw, this is so helping me. And I said, how is it helping you? I was not sure what he's referring to. And he goes, this is helping my anxiety. I am harvesting the apples. I am here, one with the tree, and just being totally disconnected with their reality and just focusing on harvesting and eating the apples on the spot. And it made my day. It was very precious. So I didn't realize how much the mental health is actually so important to come to the community gardens and be connected to the nature.
So, Paul, I'm not sure if you can answer this question, but it sounds like the opportunity and the need from a mental health perspective as well as food insecurity is growing. And COVID has certainly shown there is need for food security as a result. There's Simona. I mean, who else is going to be able to handle this if there are more and more and more gardens? Is there a limit to how many community gardens can be sustained at this point in time? Simona is shaking her head. No, there's no limit.
I certainly agree with Simona on that. I think that you can never have enough gardens. To go back to your first point, though, COVID-19 really exacerbated a lot of the issues that we face with food insecurity. But as the pandemic draws to a close, though, the demand hasn't decreased because it's being fueled by something different now. Food insecurity is a symptom. It's a symptom of poverty and the lack of affordable and safe housing. And with the pricing of housing and the lack of availability, inflation and all of those things, the demand for food has never been greater. And all of the organizations, there's 50 plus organizations in Grey Bruce that volunteer their time on food insecurity issues. The demand's never been higher. So, we could have 100 gardens. We might have to clone Simona to do all of that. But, by working with, the First Nations communities, by working with, new Canadians, it wasn't that many years ago that there were some Syrians that moved to Owen Sound, and they were farmers. And, they got involved in some of the community gardening projects. But there are so many people, and to go back to what Simona said, if you can, get to the garden, it doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair or if you walk there, there's a place for you there. And, what you don't know, people like Simona will teach you. So.
Well, I'll interject. I think that if you look at the demographics, every little neighborhood can have little small gardens. If you start really small, it doesn't need to be overwhelming. Opposite, we are creating a space where we are basically enjoying the space, if anything, and if it produces food, it's even better. And yes, production is important, but the enjoyment is even more important than that. So I would like to say that it really needs a small group of people, few people in every little neighborhood and grow food, because I can tell you that growing your own food with the prices that it's increasing, and I know we've been talking about it, there is such an enjoyment and sense of achievement that you come home and you can eat, and the taste is absolutely different. Yeah. It doesn't maybe look perfect like from the store, but 100% better taste.
So for people to learn, I mean, obviously they would learn from you, but they can access, if someone would say, I've never grown anything in my life before, there are courses or there's online information, correct, that they can access?
Absolutely. There are many tips on gardening, on anything that you would like to grow. We were running a few workshops through the winter. I had Zoom workshops to talk about how to start community gardens, how to grow food, on food forest as well. We definitely have a lot of people who can mentor. I'm running agriculture internship in Durham this year, and we will be teaching youth between 15 to 30 how to grow food and be part of the community, not only how to grow food, but just the connections. I think that we need to reconnect.
Yes, absolutely. Paul, you were going to say something, I think, at that point.
Just to really emphasize the points that Simona's made. And I think as the pandemic restrictions come off, another element that can tie into that is how to prepare the food and, how to cook that, because that's been an element that's been missing for the last 2 years with all of the restrictions. But, as the different organizations, come out from underneath that shadow, there's an opportunity there to not only learn how to grow the food, but how to prepare it. And those are programs that, one of the simplest ways is go online. Just how do I cook a squash? And there's probably 500,000 videos on how to do that.
How to cook squash. Excellent. The seeds. Do you share seeds? Do people bring seeds? What happens how does it begin?
How does it begin? Obviously it depends what you would like to grow. There's so many plants out there, but I am happy to share seeds. I share seeds with a number of communities. Just reach out to me, and I'm happy to provide any seeds that you would like. Seeds, there is also a lot of library exchange seeds. In Meaford, we definitely have a exchange of seeds. But if you are totally new and you would like to start, just connect with me and I'll make sure you're growing food this year.
Can people donate to the community gardens financially to support this initiative? Where does the money come for all of this?
I am very fortunate because I've been heavily supported and beautifully empowered by United Way that is sponsoring this program for the second year. So I'm actually almost third year. So I think that the big kudos goes to United Way.
Yeah. If somebody wants to donate to any of the programs that Simona supports, simply go on to Canada Helps. Specify the United Way, scroll down to the list to where it says gardens, and your tax receipt is actually able to be printed almost right away. So,
So the funds can be actually dedicated to the community gardens by selecting in that drop down box as well. So it's a wonderful time to have you both on the program. As you say, we're heading into spring, and just the feel of the air makes you want to get your hands into the dirt. So I want to thank you both very much for being on the program, and I do hope you will come back and tell us more about community gardens as they grow and expand in our area. Thank you both.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you to our viewing audience for joining us as well. Please join us again to learn more about programs, resources, and services available to you and to your family. Take care and stay safe. Thank you.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
As the fighting continues in Ukraine, thousands of people are fleeing for their lives, forced to leave everything behind. You can help them. Your donation to the Humanitarian Coalition will provide food, water, shelter, and medical care to the people of Ukraine who urgently need it. Call 1-800